female predators, they are not taken seriously, and they will never be taken seriously. And in this video, we're going to talk about why. Okay. When I was young, I was a kid, super young. I think I was like 5. I had this cousin. She was like, I think she was like 8 or something like that. And that was my first sexual experience. Okay. That was my first ever sexual experience. Wait, was it my first? Um, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. My family was kind of insane. So me saying that is not crazy. It might be crazy to you. It's not crazy to me. So yeah, that was my first ever like sexual experience, bro. And they, that was kind of crazy. Um, she was also like a child, so I wouldn't call her a predator. I would say she was kind of just reenacting what she saw her mom do. Why she saw enough to reenact that is not the topic of this video, but but yeah, that happened. I had another situation when I was in high school. um I was a freshman, and then I dated this girl that was a senior, and she also stayed back. So she was like 19, and I think I was like pushing, what age are you when you're like a freshman? I think I was like like 15, 16 or something like that. And you know, gonna be honest with you, it was a weird experience because the people her age kind of looked at her slightly weird. Not extremely weird for her to lose friends, not to that point, but weird enough to ask her like, well, why are you dating this like young ass dude? You know what I mean? Um, but on my end, I was getting praise. Like I was getting pats on the back, and people was like, dang, you bagged that, cause she had a pretty attractive, hindquarters and shit like that. And oh, dang, you were like, you know what I mean? And y'all, this is a insane experience, but I gotta keep it a being with y'all. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all boys. I'm not here to bullshit. I'm not one of these little fake YouTubers trying to portray some perfect exterior, and no, I'm not one of those, bro. I'm gonna give y'all the real, bro. Um, gonna be honest, like it was weird because she was a school thought, yo. Okay, let me just go ahead and say it. She was the school pass around, but like I'm new here, so I didn't. We're new here. Like my whole grade is new here, so they were finding out through other means, and for some reason, if you are the guy that is dating like the pass around, it's like nobody talks to you about it. Like everybody knows but you because they feel sorry for you, so they don't want to be the person to like break the news or whatever, right? But that's what she was. I mean, this girl was like relentless. I'm not gonna hold y'all, bro. So she got me. You know what I mean? I cracked a couple times. Um, but you know what I mean? Like it was crazy, bro. Cause like thinking back on it, bro, I was like 16. I was like 16. I was like 16, bro. And this girl stayed back because she was dumb. So there is one thing that I have never seen any YouTuber or any TikToker really hit the nail on when it comes to like female predators and shit like that, bro. Okay, look. Women, as if you're a woman, it's easy for you to get disgusted by opportunities you get in abundance. You know what I mean? Like women reject guys every day, Um for a woman, it's a lot easier to get intercourse, right? And so it's the value of the interaction doesn't mean as much to them normally. For men, for young boys, it is harder to get that. So when the opportunity presents itself, how are you supposed to be like, oh, wait, no, this is wrong. I'm gonna go call the police. I mean, it's a lot easier to do that if you're like homosexual, or you know what I mean? If you don't biologically like, you know what I mean? But I just know me for myself, bro. Like, you know, when I was in those situations with the S, um, how could this, like, I don't see how this could be wrong, even though like situationally it's wrong. This is an adult, there's a power dynamic, or this is an older girl or older woman, there's a power dynamic or whatever. You're just supposed to be disgusted. But like, but you know, I like vagina, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, you know what I mean? So yeah, there is that. There is that. So it's gonna be a lot easier for female predators to get away with it because like the victim wants it most of the time. Most of the time. And I think I'm just being honest here. Like it doesn't like male and older women situations, honestly, it doesn't damn, this is gonna be crazy to say. It doesn't hit the same as like a woman and a dude because when you think male on female, not only is there the power dynamic socially, but there's the physicality of stronger and weaker forcing yourself. So it's a lot easier to be disgusted with that because it's kind of like, you know, when you hear, you know, the R word, grape, citrus fruit, YouTube, you hear the R word, it's like you're thinking, oh, like forcing yourself on somebody, and that makes the situation or the emotional gravity hit. But when it's kind of like, oh yeah, she, he, I mean, this teacher, let's take the Haley Beck situation, for example. He, what, she was like giving him an allowance. He was going, he was cracking her. They were doing what they were doing. He was able bodied. And it's like, yes, he is younger, right? But to him, it's kind of for as a man, bro, you're in that situation, you're gonna be like, this is wrong, but it's free cookie, it's free quesadilla, it's free cat. You know what I mean? And so you can kind of see that with how the whole thing kind of played out. He kind of just let let circumstances get her caught. You know what I mean? He didn't actively go and end it. And you see what I mean? Just cause, hey, how like we, and it's not, I don't even think it's gonna be possible to get the entire boy male population to be disgusted. Like, how are you gonna get them to be disgusted with this thing when they're a kid and then they're supposed to be attracted to it growing up? How is that gonna work? And I'm not trying to defend anything. I'm really not. Like, please don't take this as that. But I'm just kind of exploring the psychology of all of this. Does that make any sense, bro? I hope I'm not tweaking, bro. I hope I don't end up in a Rotten Mango video. Oh, God. Okay, like genuinely. Okay, let me just try to articulate this better. Okay, I know it's wrong. We know it's wrong. It is wrong. Okay, but how are we going to get young boys to feel that it's wrong? Okay, like if it's like a young girl or something and it's an older guy, she can feel that it's wrong. It hurts, you know what I mean? I guess she's gonna give off like creepy vibes. The situation is gonna be off. But for a young boy, and also for women, for girls, their conditioning is like for the right male, the perfect male. You know what I mean? The Cinderella fantasy, the Beauty and the Beast fantasy. It's the right one that's who they, you know what I mean, let themselves go with. For men, for dudes, it's just like crack, crack, crack. And so, like any cat, as long as it looks good, as long as it smells good, as long as it's clean, hey, you know what I mean? And so the question is like, how, you know what I mean? It's wrong. It is. But how we can, okay, explain that it's wrong. Okay, little Timmy, look, I know all the boys that are older than you are talking about how much women they get, but look, if a older woman tries to, if any, listen to me, just just don't get no cat, okay? Don't get any, if any girl your age tries to do it, young Timmy, don't, cause that's wrong. If any older woman tries to give you some Timmy, don't do that either, because it's wrong, Timmy. Wait, Timmy, wait until you're 18 to crack, Timmy. Wait until you're 18, Timmy. Because what? We can't like tell Timmy, hey, Timmy, when you're 16, you can crack some 16-year-old stuff, Timmy. But we can't tell Timmy to do that. Can we? Because that's of age? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't think so. No, Timmy, just wait till you're 21, Timmy. Don't crack nothing. But is Timmy now gonna be like socially awkward? Is Timmy gonna end up being a black pill video viewer and worse, a black pill YouTuber? Oh no, no, Timmy. Like all of us want social validation. As a young boy, this is like one of the ultimate forms of social validation. A older woman wants you. There's older men that can't get older women. And so as a young boy, a older woman wanting you is like, I be feeling like the man when I walk through. I be feeling like the, you know what I mean? And you, it's hard to bring yourself to hate that because of context. And I know I watch some very morally upright YouTubers, bro, and I know like they would be so disgusted to hear this. Uh, you should be. You should be. But life is kind of fucking disgusting. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And I'm not just going to like BS just because that's what we're supposed to do in this world and on the internet. Gonna be honest with you. This behavior was wrong. Now, this shit went dark, I'm not gonna lie, with this girl. Cause like, okay, bro. There was a situation. Okay. There was a situation where, should I get this specific? Probably not in this video. I'll do that in another video, right? But female predators are not really taken as seriously unless, like, let's say social media gets involved, you know what I mean? Let's take that whole Haley Beck situation, for example. Is she even in jail? Is Haley Beck even in jail? Let me ask AI real quick. Is Haley Beck in jail?
No, I don't see any recent reports of a Haley being back in jail right now. The most talked about cases,
No,
like Haley Leah
I didn't
Harris.
say Haley being back in jail. I said, is Haley Beck in jail?
No, Haley Beck is not in jail. She's the former Arizona teacher accused of an inappropriate relationship with a student. She was fired earlier this year, but as of the latest reports from late May 2026, she hasn't been charged or arrested.
Like, that is crazy work. Why? Well, Haley Beck is semi-attractive, and not enough people find female predators socially repulsing enough for, like, police departments to be like, okay, let's put our foot on the gas. Like, I just don't think so, unless it's like an extremely horrific case. Like, it's like that one case where the couple, oh my god, you know, with the cupcakes, bro, this couple, bro, this couple was making cupcakes for, like, the girls' class or whatever. Like, she was a teacher, and her husband would essentially, like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Spray a chug jug from Fortnite into the batter, and they serve that up to the class. Like, that is so horrific. You need to take it seriously, bro. Like, this is not a joke. Like, that's insane. But in your average case of, like, a 24-year-old student cracking her 16, 7, I mean, what? A 24-year-old teacher cracking her 16, 17-year-old male athlete student. Okay, let's be honest. Like, a male athlete student gets away with stuff nobody else can get away with. Like, that's insane. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, if a regular nobody in a high school, let's say like a nerd guy, was able to crack his female teacher, he would get a lot of praise and stuff, and people would be surprised, like, oh my god, like, you, like, how? But if you're like the varsity male athlete, 17-year-old out of school, you're tall, muscular, whatever, bro, and your older teacher cracks you, it's kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That's how most people are actually gonna see it. Like, that's kind of expected. You're expected to get girls, and so if all the girls your age are responding to you, it kind of socially, unspokenly, it makes sense that the teacher does too, even though it's wrong and you shouldn't be doing that. But here's the thing about what people shouldn't be doing and their emotions, and which one wins 90% of the time. Well, 90% of the time, the emotions are gonna win, and this is 90% of humans. And if anybody denies this shit, they're just a fucking liar. They're just a liar. And I'm not going back and forth on that, you know what I mean? Bro, I didn't even need notes for this video. Like, it's just insane, bro. It's just insane. Like, there's this one lady on, like, she was on Instagram for a while. Light skin, bigger set. She had a ginormous rack, but it was kind of soggy. But she went viral for, like, breastfeeding in public. Y'all know who I'm talking about? Broski. Bro, guess what this lady is doing now? Paid sponsorships on TikTok. Paid sponsorships on TikTok when that was her original claim to fame. She even had one video on her Instagram where she was like literally, she had a stripper pole in her house, and like the kid, mind you, under 3, was like on the floor playing, and she was like squat over the kid with both hands on the stripper pole. I'm not lying to y'all, and this was the Instagram video. And now she's doing paid sponsorships with TikTok. And I'm not gonna like play the comparison game. Well, if it was a man, da da da. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. If it was like a male doing that, he would be under the jail. He would probably get the death sentence. Rotten Mangoes would drop the true crime video the next day. I'm not lying to you. Trap Lord Ross would be all over that expeditiously, like it was the David case all over again. You know what I mean? And so yeah, female predators are just not taken seriously. Why do I take them seriously? I mean, yeah, now like I'm an adult, I kind of get like, okay, like how deeply psychologically wrong that is. But if it was me like 3-4 years ago, I'd say no. I'd say no, because why? Well, that's what men are taught we're supposed to do. Crack women. But here's it, like, and here's it, the difference between what's socially right and what men are taught to do. There's such a big I don't know if the disparity is the right word. I think it's disparity. But it's like, okay, and I talk about this all the time in other videos, like as a young man, you're expected to be a millionaire fresh out of high school. Okay, the only practical way to do that is to lock in on YouTube at a young age, which was extremely uncommon 10 years ago. It's more common now because YouTube is being like, we're in a golden age of side hustles and self-earning income. But like, like 10 years ago, that was not as like, or because I'm only 24, so 10 years ago, I was like 14. So yeah, 10 years ago, that wasn't as common, and it wasn't seen as like a first option the way it is today. You know what I mean? So back then, practically, no, that was not happening. You either had to be a criminal, you had to be a trust fund baby. So which one was easier? Being a criminal. So like, what are you telling all these low income boys if the expectation of them is to be a millionaire fresh out of high school? You're unspokenly telling them to do crime. That's what the fuck you're doing. You're telling them to do crime because this is how you get women. Okay, why is this shit so important to them? The women their age want rich men. The 17-year-old boy that wants the 17-year-old girl, she wants a 25-year-old man. That's just the truth. And it's literally like that in most cases. I'm not even lying to y'all. You know what I mean? And so if you're a young boy and pussy falls into your lap, that's good looking, bro, you take that. And I'm sorry, like some of these desperate boys, bro, they had some ugly stuff fall into their lap, bro. And just because you know what I'm saying, a nigga was down bad, bro, they, you know what I'm saying, you do one of them ones where you don't tell the bros. You know what I'm talking about, bro. We all been there. We all been there at one point, gang. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. I ain't here to bullshit with y'all niggas, bro. What? Real spiel, bro. So yeah, I think this one's gonna be relatively short. Thank God, a short video. Oh my God. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, bro. These videos are getting crazy. I'll see y'all in the next one.